Hi there, my name is Saskia Griffiths and I'm a Bowspring teacher. One of my clients has asked me to record this so that she can share it with her friends, and I thought it might be quite interesting for you guys too, because I go on and on and on about this stuff and maybe it doesn't make any sense. So just a brief introduction that I share at the beginning of all my courses is why this switch from modern postural yoga to Bowspring. And the easiest way to explain Bowspring is Tensegrity. What is Tensegrity? Tensegrity is tension with integrity. Buckminster Fuller, back in the 60s, coined the term to explain basically the equal distribution of force. So the easiest way to think of it is, instead of thinking of a compressive structure, a straight up and down of the spine, we would think of the body as a geodesic dome, so that we can equally distribute force, so that it's not coming from one place. So we don't have one muscle group or even one muscle taking all the burden, but rather all parts of the body participating with equal tone. So with the Bowspring, what we do is we apply an algorithm. An algorithm is a formula with a guaranteed outcome. And the formula engages all these different parts of the body at once, so that the force gets distributed, so that it's not the core, so that it's not the quads, so that it's not, as we can agree, modern lifestyle has not done any favors for our postures. You only need to go to a public cafe, restaurant, or anywhere really, and have a look at the spines around you and notice whether they're in their natural double S shape, which is the way energy moves optimally, or whether they're in a C shape and hunched over. Now you're going to notice that the majority, and it's actually quite scary when you think of the younger generations, their heads, and the thing is, pain is being normalized. So normalizing pain isn't doing us any favors either. These bodies are perfect by design, but our repetitive, static sitting at desks and molding our bodies into these shapes, which are less than desirable for our functions. So what the Bowspring does is it reprograms the way your body is functioning. So it's simple, but it's not easy, as Wim Hof says. The Bowspring, it's engaging the body in a way that all parts are working with a three-dimensional tone. So for most people, we're looking at biceps working more than triceps, we're looking at quads working more than hamstrings and glutes, and rather than looking at all these parts individually, if we look at the whole, so fascia is what gives us this opportunity to look at the whole. And fascia, connective tissue, wasn't considered previously. It's only been considered as actually a really important part of our biomechanics and our anatomy in the last 10 years. We've only just last year, 2019, had the first global fascia conference in Germany. And connective tissue is this gel-like, it's a membrane that holds all our individual parts together. So if you think of when you're slicing through a raw chicken breast, that white film that is on top, and then you notice that there's thinner layers like spider webs holding everything together. And it's the same for us. So we have superficial layers of fascia that are right underneath the skin. We have sliding and gliding layers of fascia, which is where all the pulsing of the Bowspring comes in. And then we have the deeper layers of fascia, if you think of the inner lining of your mouth, your nostrils, your throat, all the way down through your organs and out the other end. And so Bowspring really turns everything you thought you knew about posture on its head. So you've really got to be quite open-minded to be able to question it, and not just question it, but also integrate it and reprogram your body. Now the good news is that fascia is collagenous, and so it's going to be stimulated, so the collagen, the elasticity in your body is going to be increased, and also it has 10 times more neuroreceptors than muscle. So you're going to notice the changes really fast. But just a really typical example, a conversation that I have quite often is we've all been led to believe that in order to support our back muscles, we need a strong, tight core. Now the Bowspring turns that one on its head, because we have found strength in length. So by giving the core this tapered waistline, so you can see my belly can actually lengthen. So I learn how to press my hips back at the same time as I lift my ribs up, and that tapers the waistline. And then I can move my ribs individually from my hips, which for a lot of us, if we've got a strong core, it's like we've knitted our ribs down towards our hips and our psoas is really tight. And so, yeah, all these things get turned up on their head, and you've really got to have a lot of patience and a lot of willpower to want to bring your awareness into your tissues and shift these patterns. But what is absolutely fascinating is that through the Bowspring, as we know, the mind and the body are all one unit. And so we can actually start to incorporate presence, so that presence is an awareness in the tissues. Isn't that beautiful? So what I see with a lot of my clients, and I see it in myself, is that the mind then has a pathway into the body, and the body is our pathway into presence. So it's not a practice of the mind, but rather it's an embodiment. So mindfulness becomes an embodiment. So I'm mindful of the way I use my hands. I'm aware of how to not injure myself when I am creating repetitive movements. And this is what I absolutely love teaching. I'm super passionate about it. There are Bowspring teachers learning and committing to the path and spreading this knowledge all over the world. Check out globalbowspring.com. That's our network, that's our community. And we teach online for those of you who don't have a Bowspring teacher nearby. And this journey is a beautiful journey of self-discovery and reprogramming. I even joke about it being like Avatar meets Matrix, because it really is based on primal movements, on how we would move naturally if we weren't sitting statically, wearing shoes, and collapsing our bodies down towards gravity. An interesting contemplation is, why do animals not injure themselves constantly? Why do they not need a team of osteopaths, chiropractors, massage therapists around them to help them? Because they're still moving the way they were designed to move. Whereas we've got comfortable or lazy even. I'm sitting in a seat right now, but there are ways you can sit that will not be as damaging as when the rib cage is collapsed, the knees splay wide, or you cross your legs one on top of the other, you round your lower back, pulling your sacrum away. We call it saggy sacrum. Isn't that an awful term? Anyway, so there's a lot of wealth of knowledge. It's a whole world to dive into. I've been immersed in it completely since 2016. I first discovered the Bowspring in 2014 and started sprinkling it into my yoga sessions, bending knees and opening side ribs, and then I really wanted to learn more and understand it. And so from 2016 I've been completely immersed in the system, and am completely committed to spreading it, to helping this information get out, because I get turned on by seeing bodies move lightly. It just, I see faces light up, I see people being in less pain, I see them understand their bodies, I see them enjoying being in their bodies, and that to me is a total turn on. So anyway, if you've got the patience and the willpower to want to restructure and question the way you're moving, get in touch and have a beautiful day.